Hello, everyone, and welcome to D2C Dialogues. Today, we have with us Abhishek Sinha, founder of GoodDot. What is GoodDot? Their LinkedIn profile goes like this. GoodDot is a food tech startup bringing plant-based proteins to India that can be distributed anywhere and bought by everyone. Their products give you the protein and taste of meat at an affordable price, but provide a healthier and cruelty-free option. Welcome to D2C Dialogues, Abhishek.
Thanks, Ritesh. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Abhishek, this is a completely new category, and when I say new category, it has been there since some time, but in India, very recently, off late, in last few years, this category has, come up.
Right.
What made you, venture into GoodDot, this particularly vegan meat kind of category? Because you had an illustrious, academic and corporate career. Incidentally, you are an Indian Revenue Service officer as well. So leaving all that and venturing into this was, something which the audience also wanted to know. What made you, create GoodDot and bring it to this level?
Sure, Ritesh. I think if there's one thing which defines me as an individual is my love towards animals. So I have crafted my life around that particular principle. So for me, I think the seed of GoodDot was actually planted way back in 2003 when I was in my final year of engineering. So essentially, till 2013, I did consume meat and I left it in 2013. So at that time, I was always struggling with, this moral dilemma of helping animals and also eating meat. So this research in Netherlands, which was on tissue culture based meat, I read in some scientific journal, and that really planted the seed that, okay, a world is possible where you can enjoy your meat, whereas you will not harm any animals. So as a consumer, I was not thinking about doing business, but as a consumer, that intrigued me. Kept a tab on this space and the scientific development in this space for good 10 odd years. So while I was in the Indian Revenue Service, I kept, interacting with people in the space to understand what's happening. My brother went to do his PhD in protein chemistry from US and kept interacting the development there. Finally, he took the plunge in 2016, by leaving the service and starting GoodDot.
Nice, Abhishek. So, let us know now that the idea was, sown in your mind and you were almost convinced, or let me say you were convinced that let's start a business. But you never had a background coming from an, Indian Revenue Service and this, although your brother had gone to US.
Yes.
How did you manage to come up with the product? That was because this is all about the product, and we'll talk more about that, because ultimately at the end of the day, you are replacing meat.
True. So essentially, through a lot of trials and error, because it's deep tech. So you have, an excellent team. When we crafted the initial team, including Abhidham and some other initial team members. So we went across the world, went across various universities to really understand the science behind plant-based meat, because there were no plug and play formats that you go to any place and you get the technology. So we worked on a very small scale level. We went to different manufacturing factories, hired their setups and labs to really work on this. So since 2013 to 16, it took us almost good 3 years to really come up with our first product. And then we formed the company and launched the product. So yeah, it was through a lot of hard work, but over a period of a lot of dedication, we got to know as to how we can crack this particular code.
So once this product was, conceived, how did you, ensure that the authenticity part, or, because you have to convey this to the consumer also. One is the authenticity, other is, the taste part of it. Third is the perception. So there are many such things that you will have to fight if you want to replace meat with a plant-based meat. So these were some of the challenges, and how did you overcome these?
So definitely, Hitesh, of course, the most and foremost and most difficult challenge was the tech part. First, you have to get the product, right? So after once we got the product, then the question of how to market the product came up to us. And, we realized being an meat eater myself, we realized that people eat meat for its taste. Especially I can speak for large majority of meat eaters in India, I can at least say that. So we realize that if we are able to match the taste and if we are able to match the price point, then I think there will be some interest of some early adopters and consumers in the space. So we pitched, our first product was named as a very generic vegetarian meat. So that, it caught attention of people, and some people laughed at it. Some people were intrigued by it. Ki, what is vegetarian meat? Normally it was just a joke, you say vegetarian chicken, it went as a joke. But then again, that name itself created some, I would say, interest among early consumers. And we had a great partnership with RCM, which is a pan-India distributor with around 10,000 odd stores. So we could place our products there and then educate the consumers by giving them tasting the product, demoing in terms of cooking. So that was our initial push for the product category.
You used the word early adopters.
Yeah.
So back then and even today, can you describe how the Indian plant-based meat market is, structured?
I think lot of things have changed from the very early days, because early it's like inertia, right? When you build a category, there's no awareness. You have to do all the heavy lifting and all the challenges. So education part was very difficult, making people taste the product, because, there were some vegetarians who were afraid even to touch the product, because for them it was meat, like maybe you are giving meat. Thankfully, there are so many companies outside India who make plant-based meat. So there is a acceptance that there is a product which is possible. You have the Unilevers and the Nestle making these meats and all. So of course, the technology is there right now. So yeah, it was difficult. And even in the B2B level, when we would reach out to clients, to hotels, to cafes, okay, why don't you try this product out? So there were two challenges with them. They said, there's no demand for this product. No one is asking for this product. And also they felt that, maybe it's too early, unless, someone really showcases that there is an actual demand. Otherwise, we'll not go for this product. But now, thankfully, we have inward requests of, companies, chains and hotels wanting to go adopt plant-based proteins in their menu. So this has changed significantly. Awareness has changed. So now I think a lot of people who have traveled the globe and who are more keyed into global development. So plant-based meat is quite big in America, Europe, and those places in the Western market, also in China, Japan. So those also awareness has been created. Recently, because of the environmental footprint of positive footprint of plant-based meat, there's a lot of government push also in promoting sustainable proteins, which also include plant-based meat. So I think these things have added a bit of tailwind to the category, which was absent in the early days.
Since we are talking about early adopters, the category and something which the Indian consumer has not experienced in the past.
Yes.
How much, what was the difference between the original meat part and the plant-based meat, from a taste and an adoption perspective? Because like you rightly said, that there were some people who said that, this is kind of meat only,
Yes.
So it was very difficult for you to convince them that this is plant-based meat and not the original meat.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And for them, those who were eating that, to shift to this, what was the initial reaction?
Yes. So I think, till date, what we have seen that I can say from our own understanding of sales and data. So south of India and east of India is our biggest market with heavy meat eating population. So Kerala is one of the largest selling states for us in RCM channel. Same goes for Telangana, I would say northeast of India, Bihar, Bengal, Odisha. So with a very heavy meat eating population who know the concept of meat or the texture of meat, the awareness is much better in that category. So they have been the early adopters. The meat eaters have been the early adopters of plant-based meat. But now, very interestingly, if you look at, say, soya nuggets, if you look at soya chap in Delhi, so that is also a textured product, and both vegetarians and non-vegetarians eat the product. And it's a massive market in itself. So that proves we have come back to a fundamental strategy thought process change, that we say that, yes, we are plant-based meat, but we are not very strongly pitching a plant-based meat narrative. What we are saying is a plant-based protein, and it's a very tasty, healthy, and affordable protein. So that has really helped us a lot in terms of more wider acceptance in both meat eaters and vegetarians. Because when you talk about plant-based protein, you're not putting a reference point to a meat eater that it is exactly like mutton or a chicken. They are happy with what they're getting. And for a vegetarian, the word meat is a bit of a deterrent. Ki meat, I don't want. Soya chap they can have. Soya nuggets they can have. But if you say it's a plant-based mutton, maybe not. So I think we have changed. Yeah.
I think this was an excellent strategy that you had, Abhishek. Just by replacing one word,
yes,
into by protein, you could cater to
two different,
a huge market, and both the sides of the coin you could address.
Yes, yes.
People who are eating and people who are not eating.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is where the strategy comes into picture. But tell us about your other strategy. How did you manage the? You spoke about the product part. You created that, and you have got this from a supply chain perspective. You said you have got RCF.
Yes.
How do you sell? Overall,
Yes.
how did you start selling initially, and then where you are currently today?
Sure. See, Hitesh, the most important thing we have to realize that when we started out, once we took care of the technical challenge and continuously innovated, like we have always innovated and added, improved our products. Apart from that, the major challenge is not just creating a brand or a company. We were creating a category.
Yes.
So that is a massive heavy lifting exercise. It's a change of behavior. It's a change of eating habits, a change of thought processes, a more open-mindedness about something new, which without it, the people's life were getting along. So that being said, for us, we realize that we don't have as much of a firepower to create a pan-India category in just 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. So we went with RCM, whom we have a great relationship. So RCM is essentially, it's something like an Amway, but they have physical stores, mostly in tier 2, tier 3 cities of India. So that was a ready-made channel. In fact, one of our earliest investors were also the owner of RCM. So we had a ready-made channel, which we did not need to spend a lot of money. So what we did, we had a channel, we could place our products there. But once we place the product, so what we could do is we can create our team of chefs and, more speakers who would go travel all across India to towns and villages and, cities, and they'll create a meeting and conduct demo and tasting session. So, what Maggie did, Nestle did in maybe late 80s or early 90s by giving, free, products in school. Now it's unheard of, that it's unimaginable that Maggie needed to be sold free for people to eat. So that we did at a very smaller level, of course, not that larger level, and that helped us. But now I think with a lot of other companies coming into the space, the big companies, ITC, Tata, they have also launched in the plant-based meat category. Some meat companies like Licious has also entered into plant-based meat category. So that is also helping the category grow. And now awareness is much higher than it was earlier.
You mentioned about the investors,
yeah.
And funding is one of the major challenges for any startup, and especially a D2C one. How did you overcome this challenge, Abhishek?
So I think, yes, initially, when we raised our initial funds, it was through a lot of HNIs who were within friends and family. So that gave us a head start so that at a factory level, we could produce something. But once we had certain numbers, yes, to scale, you need funding. And for that, based upon our performance till date, I think there was a lot of active interest in the space. There was a lot of active interest in the space. So essentially, we engaged with a lot of VCs and a lot of PEs. So eventually, I think Sixth Sense took a bet on us. And again, it's something VCs need more large total addressable market. And when we look and they look at the foundational team and the ability to execute and what they have done till date. So we had an excellent team, and we had an excellent facility, and we had an excellent product. So that gave a confidence to a lot of investors in the space. Think about the total addressable market. The global meat industry is $1.3 trillion. And there are a lot of reports of global think tanks that eventually 20 to 25% of the meat industry will eventually have to shift to alternatives. So that presents a massive total addressable market, which is very venture investable. So that is where we talk to a lot of people, and eventually we settled with Sixth Sense.
Now, can you tell us something about the marketing? How did you go about marketing? You did say that we did some sampling in the initial phases.
Yes. Yes.
Can you share some insights on which would have been your memorable marketing campaign or an initiative that you have taken which has impacted the brand GoodDot?
True. So we onboarded Neeraj Chopra as our brand ambassador. We crafted a great ad campaign with Neeraj, wherein we had so we also have a sister company which is into a vegan fast food outlet, and that is named after a goat we rescued from a slaughterhouse. So goat we named as a Guddu. So this ad had Neeraj acting with a Guddu, and there are 3 small ads. So that gave us a lot of online visibility and pushed our online sales. So essentially, that was one interesting strategy we onboarded. The second strategy is collaborating, because with properties of Taj, Leela, Pullman. So those kind of guys, I think we have a great opportunity to reach their consumer base. So with limited capital, how you can collaborate your product and your visibility in the plant protein space can give them certain advantages, and their reach and brand visibility can give us certain advantages. So having these kind of partnership, for example, Ashoka brand, whom we have tied up with the American market. So, they have a great distribution there in those various Indian and, mainstream chains. So we, collaborated with them to put our products in the American market. So it's a mix of different strategy, which has worked for us. I would say B2B as well as, some aggressive marketing campaigns, online marketing campaigns.
So since we are here on the growth part, how do you see the Indian consumer adopting, towards plant-based proteins? And is it on a growth stage?
Yes, I think it was on a massive growth stage a couple of years back. So we saw a bit of a rationalization last year, but now we feel amazing tailwinds are in the offing. Because we are bound by some NDAs, we cannot say, but you name it, the biggest of the players have not given up on the space, be it in the retail consumer space or be it in the HoReCa or food service space. So a lot of things are going behind the curtains, and thereby you will see a massive spike in growth of plant-based offerings to Indian consumers, both at a consumer package level as well as a HoReCa and food service levels.
So Abhishek, this was for the Indian consumer. What about your strategy to grow internationally?
Yes. So I think internationally, being a small company for us, right partnerships, I think are going to be very, very important. So we have identified, 4 or 5 critical geographical areas for us. For example, US and Canada. We have identified UK and Germany, Australia and Middle East. Apart from a big, partnership, which is being on the works in South Africa. So essentially, these are 4 or 5 geographies which we are focusing on, and we have already started, exporting to these countries. So our focus is just to focus on these geographies and ride on the strength of our partners. Because we have the product strength, we can customize the product as per the local market need, but they have the actual feet on the ground. So this is where we feel that we can add the next spurt of our export growth.
What will stop you? What will be the major impediments for you to achieve this growth?
So I think right now with our strategy, like we have certain pivot, a lot of B2B focus now. I think there are no major impediment. I think as we grow and which is growing, I think capital requirement, working capital requirement, I think will be needed. I think that is where is the pace of growth is being dependent on. So if you have a big, say a retailer order for US, you need a sufficient funds in the kitty to deliver those monthly orders based till their credit period expires. So essentially, I think that is going to be very important. I think we are covered now. We don't have any other major impediment apart from that.
Coming to your advice to the entrepreneurs who are in this category, particularly plant-based proteins or plant-based meat.
Yes.
And we have seen many players coming up in the market now. And
Yes.
you mentioned apart from that, the corporates also have started taking a good interest in this category. What would be your advice to these budding entrepreneurs in the plant-based protein or meat category?
My advice to them will be to focus on the research and development. Because essentially, when you talk about, yes, it's a category, it's a upcoming innovative category, but at the end of it, it's food, right? And to be in a disruptive food category, you have to be having a good taste and a good price point. Maybe consumers, if you are at a premium to meat, consumers will buy once or twice, but there will not be a lot of stickability. For example, I'll just give an example. For example, in GoodDot, a mutton keema, a single mutton keema normally will cost you, actual mutton keema will cost you around 150 rupees, depending on where you're eating. Whereas in our outlet, we are selling at 30 to 39 rupees. So that is where, the adoption will be more sticky in nature. So I think for entrepreneurs in this space, I think I would say believe, have the faith, because this space is bound to grow. Do more R&D and identify your target segment. Suppose you are unable to cut down on the price point, then don't worry about the mass players. Don't think about, going to every nook and corner and cafes. Identify the, where people have adequate spending capacity. Maybe if you're in retail, go to food hall, order a nature basket, no problem. Even if it is a premium and you have a good product, people will buy that out. Go to 5-star properties. They are a bit elastic in terms of price absorption, and then build upon that. And if you are able to crack the price, then the larger market opens up. So it all depends where your pricing lands. So focus on that. Focus on pricing and ensure that you segment your market very well. Very well. To reach out to each and everyone. Yes. No. Just if you are a premium, just forget if that you have to go massy right now. Once you have that product for mass market, then look at the larger opportunity out there. With this, Abhishek, let's come to the final segment of this D2C dialogues, and that is the rapid fire round. Okay. I'll be asking a few questions. Kindly answer them. Sure. What's the most popular product for GoodDot's lineup? So I think one Pro Chop, which we have developed recently, very affordable, very versatile. So Pro Chop. What's the wildest flavor you have experimented with at GoodDot? So it's both julakia. It's a very spicy, chili. We have developed, one product. It was outstanding. Yeah. Okay. Which celebrity would you love to see enjoying GoodDot's products? Narendra Modi ji. My God, this is the second time somebody has spoken about Narendra Modi. Yeah, he's the best brand celebrity out there. Yes. What's the most heartwarming customer feedback you have received about GoodDot? A hardcore meat eater coming up to us and initially admitting that he was not really keen to try the product, and now the entire family has shifted to eating plant-based. So that has been the most heartwarming in Udaipur. Very good. If GoodDot were a superhero, what superpower would it have? Touching anyone and imparting kindness. Imparting kindness. Yeah, just total kindness. How would you describe GoodDots in just 3 words? For the animals. For the animals. Wow. Yeah. Name a brand you see as your closest competitor. I think Beyond Meat from USA. Beyond Meat from US. Yeah. And final question, if you can answer this in numbers, Abhishek, where do you see GoodDot 5 years down the line? I think definitely the largest plant-based meat company in India and among the top 5 global plant-based meat company.
Amongst the top 5 global plant-based meat companies and
Yes.
the top plant-based
Company in
meat
India.
company in India.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Abhishek Sinha. And thanks for sharing your insights here today at D2C Dialogues. We wish you and GoodDot all the best.
Thanks, Hitesh. Lovely talking to you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.